Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the English podcast with Sayanyos Lasso, which was held on November 14th, 2025. Before we begin this deep dive, we must address the severe smog situation in Pakistan, especially Lahore. Please take precautions, only go outside if absolutely necessary, wear a mask, drink more water, and use soup. May Allah protect us all. Amen. Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving deep into a really profound discussion led by Dr. Sahib, and it tackles some of the biggest questions, about consciousness, reality, and what it actually means to live a principled life.
It's a huge topic.
It is. We have a dense stack of sources here covering everything from the mechanics of the mind to the definition of beauty and duty. Our mission is to analyze every single concept completely to give you real clarity and insight.
And what stands out to me right from the start is Dr. Sahib's approach. He seamlessly integrates modern psychological concepts with these deep spiritual mechanisms and Quranic understanding. We aren't just looking at philosophy here. It's more like an operating manual for the human experience. We're moving from the tiniest mechanisms of the inner self right out to the structure of the universe itself.
And we start right there with that inner mechanism, that simple yet, profound act of self-command.
Dr. Sahib posed the question, when you tell yourself, wake up at 5 a.m., who's actually speaking to whom?
He gave such a crystal clear answer, grounding it in essential spiritual terminology. He said this is the conscious mind, the shu'ur, commanding the subconscious mind, which is the lashur.
So the shu'ur is the part that's aware enough to actually issue the request.
Exactly. It's
right?
the part of us that stays aware to give that specific order. And the genius is in the mechanism itself. Even when you're physically asleep, the shu'ur has given the mandate.
And the lashur just takes over. It acts like an internal timer.
Precisely. It provides what he called the necessary feeding, or the trigger, at the exact time required. It's incredible.
And he used this to define real strength, didn't he? Yes. He said willpower, or quwwat iradi, is determined by the conscious mind, by the shu'ur. So if you can direct your shu'ur, you can direct your entire internal engine.
In this internal dialogue, this whole idea of the mind speaking to itself.
It's exactly what modern psychology calls autosuggestion. He made that link explicit.
Wow. So it confirms that this kind of directed internal thought is a valid and powerful way to change yourself.
It really is.
Okay, so the inner commander, the shu'ur, sets the program. But that brings up the next question, doesn't it? If the mind can command itself, how does that inner self perceive and interact with the external world?
Exactly the right question. And to map that relationship, Dr. Sahib introduced this magnificent Quranic framework of three fundamental realities.
Right, the self or being, zat, the attributes, sifat, and the universe, kanat.
Yes. And he clarified that the entire apparatus, including our senses, the hawas, is ultimately created by the zat, the self.
And here's where he made that essential mapping for us, the listener.
Mm-hmm.
He said our senses, our hawas, aren't just tools we use to observe the universe.
He said they are the universe, the kainat itself.
That's a huge distinction.
It's a crucial one. It means the external reality is gathered and perceived through the mechanism of our senses, which are themselves a form of kainat.
So it gives us this really concise three-part framework. Your inner reality, the zat and sifat, dictates how it processes and interacts with external reality, which is the kainat, our senses.
You've got it.
So once we have that structure of reality, the next logical step is figuring out how to, navigate it without falling for illusions. Dr. Sahib tackled that head on. How do we eliminate falsehood or fiction, what he termed batil, from our reality?
And his answer was so powerful because it was just one concept. He said, we have to become a hakikat shanas.
A reality recognizer.
A reality recognizer. Or the whole path to nullifying fiction is rooted in this constant, active endeavor to reach the truth, which is takek.
And the mechanism is absolute. I was really struck by this. Dr. Sahib referenced that powerful verse. As haq amad was azal batil. When truth, haq, arrives, falsehood just, it flees.
It cannot coexist. It's like light and darkness. The problem, he pointed out, is that most of us stop short of the effort required for that tahqiq.
So how do we do it? How do we achieve that reality recognition?
Well, Dr. Sahib detailed the intellectual and spiritual engagement prescribed in the Quran. He listed them out: gaur, fiqh, tafakkur, tadabbur, Takul.
So deep reflection, contemplation.
Yes, and the acquisition of knowledge, pondering over signs, these aren't separate things, but a unified process. It's a really intense mental work ethic.
He gave that great historical example to drive it home, our understanding of the Earth.
Right. We went from the complete fiction of a cow holding up the Earth to believing the Earth was stationary, and then
Realizing the Earth rotates around the sun.
Exactly. And every single step closer to the hakikat, the reality, it just dissolved the previous patil, the fiction.
Yep. So the practical takeaway for you listening at home is this. If you find yourself confused or in conflict or just mentally tangled up, Dr. Sahib suggests you're probably operating inside a fiction, a batil, that you just haven't researched yet.
Tahqiq is the path out of that mental noise.
And that intellectual pursuit leads us right to the limits of our own perception, or adrak.
No.
Dr. Sahib discussed the Quranic point that our sight can't comprehend Allah. And he said this isn't a mystical block, it's a mechanical limitation.
Exactly. It's about the mechanics of sight. Our sight is fundamentally bound by the need to capture boundaries, or hudud. That's how we define and measure and identify any created object by its limits.
Okay, that makes sense.
So since Allah is infinite, la Maqsood, and the most subtle, latif, he falls completely outside the range of anything created, the makhluk, by definition. Our sight is a gift, but its mechanism just isn't adequate to grasp him because of those dimensional limits.
And on comprehension itself, he shared that insight from the great spiritual master, Khwaja Shamsuddin Azimi's Murshid, Qalandar Baba Alia.
Ah, yes, that was profound. The point that we comprehend, but we often don't comprehend why we comprehend, or even with what we comprehend.
What's the key there?
The key is realizing that the mind has a specific, separate section for understanding, for samaj, and its only job is to draw conclusions and achieve results. If you don't use that section to finalize a thought, you just stay stuck in that endless loop of confusion.
That's a powerful idea. Building on limits and definition, the discussion then shifted to beauty, or Jamaliyat, something Dr. Sahib noted is beloved by the creator.
Yes, and while beauty is often debated, is it in the eye of the beholder? Is it in the object? Is it a blend? Dr. Sahib was very specific. He said the core non-negotiable component of beauty is proportion and balance. Tanasub and Tawazun.
So an object needs that perfect balance, but also the observer needs an eye that's capable of appreciating it.
Absolutely. Without the perceptive capacity, the beauty is functionally absent. It's that old saying he quoted, jungle main more nacha, kisne deka. A peacock danced in the jungle who saw it.
And that principle of tanasub and tawazun, of proportion and balance, it's not just about aesthetics, is it? It governs harmony in life.
It absolutely does. And that led us into what I think is the most practical part of the entire discussion. The 4 critical principles Dr. Sahib laid out for living life well, especially when it comes to relationships and responsibility.
These 4 points, they really feel like a complete formula for a happy societal and family life, and they challenge some of our most ingrained modern habits.
Principle number 1 is maybe the most revolutionary. Focus exclusively on duties, farais, not on rights, hukuk. Dr. Sahib argued that our modern, intense focus on what we deserve, our rights, is the foundational source of conflict in society.
And I can see where people might push back on that. It sounds a bit idealistic. I mean, if one person focuses only on their duty, but the other person doesn't that make the first person a doormat?
It's a fair question, but Dr. Sahib addresses it by shifting the internal perspective. The idea is, if every individual, the teacher, the student, the spouse, the citizen, focuses intensely and completely on fulfilling their duty,
then the rights of others are just automatically fulfilled.
Effortlessly. You eliminate the need to fight for what you're owed because everyone is prioritizing giving. It's an approach focused on proactive contribution, not reactive extraction.
That reframing is powerful. Okay, what was principle number 2?
It's about conflict management. Shoot the problem, don't shoot each other. This means immediately avoiding ilzam tarashi, which is that tendency to blame others when an issue comes up.
So all the energy has to be directed at the difficulty itself.
Right. The goal is always a harmonious, mutually acceptable solution to the problem, the obstacle, not an attack on your partner or your colleague. Blame is just the friction that stops the whole resolution process.
And principle number 3, that was about emotional self-control.
Yes. Handle the situation, don't react, respond. He explained that a reaction is immediate, it's unthinking, often fueled by emotion, and it just leads to damage.
But a response, that's different.
A response requires a critical 1-second pause. That brief moment is for assessment, for decision-making, and then for skillful execution. You pause, you think about the consequences, and only then do you handle the situation skillfully, so you don't get trapped by the conflict.
Okay. And the fourth principle, Guzara Karna, management or coping. Dr. Sahib was really explicit that this does not mean passive endurance or bardasht.
No, not at all. It means actively creating a cushion between yourself and the difficulty.
He used that brilliant analogy about temperature.
The best. When it's freezing, you don't just stand there and curse the cold. You put on warm clothes, you use a blanket, you adjust your environment. You're managing the situation by creating a cushion. Life is thorny, he said. Wisdom is actively clearing the path and walking carefully, not just passively suffering the thorns.
And this whole formula, it ties into the true meaning of gratitude, or shukar guzari, which isn't just saying thank you.
Not even close. Dr. Sahib defined true gratitude as using the gifts and capabilities Allah has given you, asan tariq.
Excellently or correctly.
Exactly. That sets a very high standard. To be ungrateful, then, is simply to use your intelligence, your resources, or your opportunities poorly.
Let's pivot now to the final mechanics of the mind. He covered sound and focus, which he related to life itself. He connected sound, or awaz, directly to life.
He did. He explained that life is fundamentally movement, or harkat, and sound is composed of waves, or lorraine.
Okay.
So since waves are the basic means of energy transfer, and energy is the foundation of all movement, then sound is, by its very nature, a form of life. A living thing absorbs and relays these waves.
And this wave mechanism also explains how we develop familiarity or attachment, what he called ansiyat.
Yes, this is built entirely on memory. When a familiar wave pattern, say the expected placement of an object in your room, is disturbed, your memory alerts you. That's what creates that sudden feeling of something being missing or wrong.
This is where that idea of focused awareness comes in. Dr. Sahib discussed the Quranic concept of the pen, or kalam, and related it to the mechanism of attention or focus, tawajjuh.
It's such a beautiful concept. He said our attention rays, our shwine, create a focal point, the nukta imaska.
Like using a convex lens to focus light onto a single point?
Precisely that analogy. And that point of convergence, he said, acts as the seed nutfa of life, the point where all the waves of your personality and your existence meet.
And he gave us the crucial distinction for directing that focus.
He did, focusing inward toward the spiritual light that flows from the self, the zat, to the body, that provides ulumi ladunya, divine or esoteric knowledge.
But focusing outward.
Conversely, focusing outward, constantly fixated on the transient world and the actions of other people, that only provides ulumi dunya, or worldly knowledge, and it results in the accumulation of spiritual filth, galazat.
He had a very sharp warning there.
A very memorable one. He said that people, or log, should be viewed as a disease, a rag, if we waste our energy focusing solely on their external dramas and consuming their negativity.
So we've covered a lot. We've traversed the conscious command of the mind, we've established the framework for reality, pursued the elimination of fiction, and internalized this necessity of focusing on our duties and using our resources excellently.
This deep dive really provides a complete spiritual roadmap. It reveals that the journey to truth requires consistent intellectual effort, that tahqiq, and conceptual clarity. We have to move away from the static comfort of our own assumptions.
And the true test of our awareness isn't how much information we've absorbed.
Not at all. It's how well we utilize the powerful tools, our minds, our focus, our will, that have been installed within us.
So if true gratitude, shukr guzari, really means using our blessings excellently and correctly, then this is the final provocative thought for you to carry forward. Are you merely passing your time, passively enduring life, or are you actively managing and utilizing the immense mental and spiritual resources Allah has gifted you in the most asan tariqeba? Thank you very much to all the listeners for giving your time. This discussion will surely prove beneficial for you. Kindly forward this video to your friends who keep asking about spirituality and Silsila Azemiya. Your forwarding will help YouTube automatically reach more people with this video. Subscribe if you haven't already, and like. Lots of prayers for you too. Allah Hafiz to all.